Look, yo, it's your boy Chill with another video. And today I want to talk to y'all about the secret to becoming more attractive. Now, when I say that, I'm not talking about like the normal where I'm telling you to go to the gym, which all of these are important. Going to the gym, getting you a shape up, putting you, some fresh clothes on, all those type of things. Because at the end of the day, it shows the individual. Damn. It shows the individuality of you. When you put your clothes on, you get your hair cut the way you want it to be cut, or any of those type of things. It shows you in the way you like to express yourself. And if you have a unique style, then that's always going to bring people, not only girls, but just people in general. When you are unique and authentic yourself, biggest thing I take away from that. So, but what I want to talk about is the fact that with these things that I'm about to list also is when you're attractive, I'm not saying that girls is just gonna walk up to you and even though I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, what I'm saying is they're not just gonna walk up to you all the time, when you start incorporating these things, like it even goes with your clothes, fits, all that type of stuff. Most of the time, the most attractive people that you will see, they don't even get all of that, unless you got clout, unless you're famous in some type of way. You're more than likely gonna get cause like real junk, girls legit will just walk by you. If they walk by you and they stare at you while they walk by, that's them shooting their shot. It's kind of hard because if you miss it, if you miss that one little second, because it's only 1 second they gonna look at you. If you miss it, you're more than likely gonna miss the chance. You're more than likely gonna miss the opportunity to say something, especially not only if you just stand there, you gotta say something too. You gotta actually back words behind it. And unless you do Dennis or something like that, I doubt that's gonna be rocking out for you, twin. So the first thing I wanna start it off by is how you speak. Now, one thing I recognize, because once again, like I said, I've been chopped before. I'm pretty sure you'll see the picture that I'm gonna put as my thumbnail, I think. And I'm not saying I was chopped like I'm just ugly as shit, but I wasn't him, if I could say that. You feel me? I was nervous. I was all these type of things. And as time passed by, I kind of grew into me. I became more my authentic self. I came more confident. And like I said, the biggest thing would be that I learned is how I speak. So my voice got a little deeper, the way I talk to people, the way I give you eye contact when I speak to you, or any of those type of things. That is something that will leave an impression in a female's mind. It also makes you look more attractive, not only with just when you're talking to someone, not even only for females, like goes for anybody. If you talk with intellect, you have substance with what you're talking about, then no one wants to be talking and have a conversation with somebody that's a little slow. Like, you can't break those barriers, and honestly, you have to really ask yourself, what kind of people do you want to attract in the first place? So if you want to attract the whole, she's fine, but she's not really up there mentally, then you more than likely are gonna bring, that being fine is not all that. You really have to actually start looking past just looks, and that's what the whole, your voice, how you speak, that adds on to how attractive you can be in the first place. So when you actually, you're involved in certain things, you read, you have these certain conversations. Like I've been on certain apps where I've talked to people, and it's genuine good conversation. Most of the time I can talk for hours with people, and that's because I've read enough things, I've worked on myself enough, I've indulged in the things that I want to, and that I found interesting. Like, say you like anime, even though that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like more like actual substance intellect, but what I'm giving you is an example. Say you like anime. If you're talking about anime, you're more than likely going to attract a female who's into anime, or a person that's into anime, and you can have those type of conversations with those people. But if you're more focused on just, oh, you look good. What's your name? What you doing? Like, if a girl really curves you for how you talk and drive, you can't really blame her because there's no connection. Most of the time, you'll build a connection with people by how you speak, by what you say, and just having that substance to be able to have those conversations with those people. It's going to automatically bring your attractivity, or I don't know how to say attractiveness up. And, just the way you speak. Not my voice got deeper. I noticed that, when people say that, oh, you put that little voice on when you talking to a girl, like it's a whole different voice. When you with your bros, you probably talk like, hey man, like, just a little bit higher pitch. But then when you get on that phone with shorty, you just like, you lower the voice, you do your thing. Practicing on being aware of what comes out of your mouth, how you're talking, and the kind of conversations you want to have. That's one of the biggest things that will always boost your attractiveness. The second thing I want to talk about would be your ambitions. So, no female wants to do who has no goals. One of the things that I've studied with my own thing, because there was a point in time where I was just studying females, like, that was when I was younger. But as I got older, I realized that the more I stopped paying attention to them in the first place, the more they came in the first place. So like, I remember my first relationship, I was telling a girl, I'm not looking for no relationship. I'm not trying to take anybody serious or not, whatever. For some odd reason, I don't know if that's the type of female you want to bring as well too, but I can tell that me saying those type of things, it always gets the female to kind of want you to have a crush on her, or have some type of liking to her. And when you're not focused on a woman in general, and you're focused on your goals, you're focused on where you want to be in life, what you want to do, any of those type of things, you're gonna always win, because say that person leaves, you continuously will still be able to work and just continue doing what you're supposed to do, and I think a lot of females can sense when you are very desperate for a female or just going for those things in the first place. You don't want to be going through those things. You want to always be able to separate yourself. I had a girl, I remember, like I said, that same girl that I told you, I told her I wasn't trying to get in a relationship, I'm not, whatever. She stayed around for 7-8 months and just constantly was there for me. She was just doing everything. And I'm telling her, I'm not looking for no relationship. I literally had just got out of a relationship. And I told her, basically, I had her wait like 8-7 months. And she sticked around all the way through because she knew that I had goals. She knew what kind of person I was. She knew that I was someone that had my stuff together. And that's really no female wants to do that doesn't have their stuff together in the first place. You gotta continue to be independent. You gotta continue to be unbothered by anything besides what you gotta do, When you get in that mindset of, what can I do to get these girls? Like, even when you're looking, like, I gotta make myself look better, any of that type of stuff for the females, you can scare yourself off some females simply because you wanted to get better looking for females in a certain way. So say you went to the gym and all that type of stuff. When you get around shorty, you'll probably be like, yeah, I be doing, really all you have is muscle. You're not, you were focused on that, thinking that that was something that she gravitated towards. And I'm not saying there aren't females that don't gravitate towards muscular, tough looking dudes. But if you don't have anything that is in common, that's literally the only thing that y'all mesh together with. That's the only thing that y'all can really bond over, and that's not really bonding. That's more moving lustfully in the first place. So the biggest problem I even remember me dealing with was the fact that I didn't realize how much power I had in what I attracted towards me. So now, since I know that, I've noticed that I attract a lot more older females in the first place because I'm more of an intellectual person. Some people call it sapiosexual or any of that type of stuff. I just like having conversations with the female that isn't just basic, stuff like that. And I'm not trying to be one of those people. You don't want to be that person that's being vented to about the boys that the girl is dealing with, all that type of stuff. You have to learn how to lead those conversations. And what's a better way to lead in a conversation by bringing up things that y'all both can have in common. Both of those things that you are working with, to make this conversation work or the vibes happen. Third thing I'd say would be your boundaries. No female will ever be attracted to a dude that she doesn't respect. And that's the truth. So if you are one of those people that is constantly trying to people please the female or is just doing anything to make that female happy, she knows that. She feels it. You genuinely have to tell her, nah, that's not what I'm okay with occasionally. Even if it's something that's not that big of a deal, you should speak up about it and express yourself and be like, look, not to be emotional, but just to let the female know that you're going to have to be careful with how you move around. You can't just be moving like you're free or talking to me like you're free. Like when girls be like, they start calling you girl or they call you the B word, but y'all joking. You got to have boundaries with that. You got to have boundaries with them and tell them, nah, I'm not comfortable with you referring to me or even speaking to me like that. And with that being said, that'll naturally bring attraction. She's going to be like, dang, he didn't even, that's just what he not going for. And I've seen it in 4K. Like, I've told a girl, you missed my first date with you. I'm not doing that again. And she continuously wanted to hang out afterwards. And I put that boundary there. And she started buying me shit to like be around and just doing all the extra stuff to kind of, I guess, make up for it in a certain way or to kind of just make me drop my guard, I guess. Because like I said, I'm going to give everybody that first chance. You can get 100%. When you heal as a person, you should be able to give people, I'm not saying 100% like, here your money or any of that type of stuff, but just like your feelings, like how you feeling, what kind of stuff how you feeling about that person, what kind of ways you feel about that person, any of those things. When you establish that and you tell them, it just naturally will boost you up. I don't know how else to explain that. It's just, it does. Females like it, And the fourth thing that I'd probably tell you is when you're subscribed to chill. No, I'm just playing. The last thing would be, what would it be? Being independent. There you go. That's a big one. See, you can't be around females and you're constantly, I'm not saying that there aren't females that won't go out of their way to come take care of you. That's actually a good female. That's a trooper. But someone who is independent, there's nothing that a female can really hold over you in the first place. Say you living with a girl. At some point, y'all get into an argument, worst case scenario, she could legit tell you to get out. That's not showing respect towards you. And not only that, of course, if you bugging and you tripping, yeah, you probably deserve to get kicked out. But if it's just like an argument and she's on some, any of that type of stuff, you always want to have your own stuff. That way they can't look at you as, oh, he be using my stuff. He be in this house doing all this type of stuff. Even if you bring money to the table, it doesn't matter. When I tell you that you must be an independent man, someone who can naturally take care of himself, naturally not need anybody to, which I guess you could say that could go for your goals as well, but I find it different. You can have your goals and still be dependent on others in plenty of ways. But when you are able to be self-sufficient, you don't need other people, even with your own parents type junk. Like, you are someone that can handle things without other people around. You're Mr. Make It Happen. Those type of things. And a lot of these things can go for females as well. Like, honestly, I hope y'all can kind of dissect the difference between the two. But one of the things that all men that I've seen that are very successful with women is that they don't need anybody. They're not asking shorty for, you got a girl at work that's giving you rides type junk, which that's not a problem. But what I'm telling you is you are looked at. As much as that person may say, I don't have a problem with that, I don't have a whatever, they do have it. They do think of those things subconsciously. And you want to be able to not have anybody ever say, oh, I'm the one who was holding you down and all that type of stuff, and it kind of blow back in your face. I'm not one of those type of people in the first place. Like, I hate when somebody tries to bring up something that I do or that they do for me, and whole time, like, they don't realize that I've also been doing things as well for them too. Like, obviously, if they're doing stuff for you and you're not doing nothing, then you got to start looking at yourself. But if you get those things thrown back in your face from just someone saying, I done helped you out, I don't whatever, any of these type of things, that is not something that is a sign of respect. It's not something that people are attracted to. This goes, like I said, for everybody, not just girls, not just men. Everybody should be able to take care of themselves. And when you're a female, men pay attention to that. There's plenty of times where I've seen one of my homeboys, he's like, shorty don't have a car. So he knows in her head that she could be messing with him just for the car. But that's not what that's supposed to be about, and he does peep those type of things. He understands that this is access for him to get in some type of way. Like, you got to think about it like this. Whenever a female is missing something, that's how most dudes slide their way into that female's life. That female needs rent paid. Dude start paying her bills. Shoot, you might as well say he in the cheeks at that point. Like, 100%, he is giving something back. Most of the time, no dude's paying people's bills and not getting anything. That same thing goes for a car. That same thing goes for being there for that person. That even goes for when you're listening to a girl's problems type junk. Like, I'm not saying that there aren't dudes that just listen to what a female has been going through or any of that type of stuff, but most of the time, the long conversations, the girl starts talking about all these things, that's usually some type of way of access to get comfortable with that female. And as long as you're comfortable with the female, then you become more likely, more comfortable to stay or reach or do some certain things. Like I said, I had a girl helping me out. I did peep certain things where I'm like, she messing with me, and naturally when you realize, oh, she's messing with you, sometimes you can low-key get a little more comfortable. Even with your homeboys, y'all get more comfortable. I'm not saying you're going to try to do something with your homeboy, but what I'm saying is you're more comfortable of doing things around your homeboy. Say you around them, y'all joke around, y'all be playing around punching or something like that, play fighting, or with your brothers, be fighting. When you get real close with somebody, yes, you could legit be fighting with them and still rock out a perfectly fine situation with that. I know plenty of friends that have gotten into fights and still stayed in that friend group, still stayed cool. But for a female, it's a whole different subject. Like, everybody has human urges. No female is different from you. She's gonna want those same things that you thinking about that you may think females don't be interested in. Girls be trying to do the exact same thing dudes do, especially in a time like this. So just processing these things, processing that you have to be more aware with yourself, with how you speak, the things that you're giving your time to. Nobody, like I said with the first rule, being more intellectual, any of those things. No one wants to have a full conversation about Kai Cenat for hours, like, not saying anything's wrong with Kai Cenat, but what I'm saying is that's not substance. That's not, you're talking about a whole nother man. As a grown ass man, you should not be talking about another man to a female. You should not be talking about another man to a female. That's just not really, and most girls ain't even into the streaming junk. Like, so anyway, so that's the first thing. The second thing, your ambitions. Always have goals for yourself. Always have expectations. And the way you move and move throughout the world and life, when they see that, when a female sees those things, she gravitates towards you. She likes it. She wants to see, and she'll probably even pick up some of the things that you do. Like, that's just what it is. That's like when you had them special catchphrases or something like that. You got a little phrase you say, the girl starts picking it up because that's how you move. Third thing is your boundaries. You gotta have boundaries. Don't let a female ever walk all over you. Make sure that you telling her straight up, like, nah, that's not what's going down. That's not what I do. I don't be doing that type of stuff. That's not what I'm interested in, none of that. And like I said, the last thing would be subscribe to the channel. I'm just like, being independent. Can't be having anything where you're dependent on anybody and them not have some type of feeling like they have power over you. The moment someone feels like they have power over you, you've lost. And you've lost your attractiveness as well. So I hope y'all enjoyed this, 21-minute video. I don't edit. I just like coming on here, being raw, myself, authentic. And I hope y'all are taking care of yourselves. We all grinding. I know y'all seen my last video. It was 30 seconds, but it got 300 views. I'm happy for small things. Always got to be gratitude. Always got to have those things. Because the more you look for the positive, the more the positive going to show up. Y'all take care of yourselves. I love y'all, always.